Hey folks, it's another Friday afternoon in the middle of all this COVID mess. And as we've done every week pretty much since March the 10th, we are back here for a quick little update on how things are going locally. We have a special guest and I'll get to that in a second, but I did want to point out that this week, for the first week since March the 10th or 11th, when we went remote, we were able, with some testing that we'll talk about a little bit later, with some testing that we were able to accomplish with a local business, we were able to have the staff back in the office. So it felt normal for a couple of weeks, and it felt normal for a couple of days, rather, not a couple of weeks. It felt normal for a couple of days this week when we got the results back and we were able to get the people back in the office. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week, we actually had a decent staff. And Dr. Malone, will you introduce our special guest, and then I'll get you to tell everybody how we handled working with her company and bringing the people back in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the backstory is that at the office, we had gone through the testing protocol, I guess, more than a month ago, and it was some delays in test results and things like that, and some uncertainty. It didn't give us a whole lot of guidance. So we looked around, and sure enough, there is a local company here. It's called B Virtual Health, like the letter B. And it's Dr. Buffi Bailey, whom is joining us today. And she has her master's degree in family nurse practitioner studies, I guess, and also her doctorate in nursing practice. So she's very experienced, very accomplished, and has taken the concierge, health and wellness care to our community. So I reached out to her last week after speaking with Joe to try and come up with, there's got to be a better plan, a better way to have some more real-time results to help provide, I guess, a baseline for the office and some direction for our office as far as things we could do in addition to everything else you see, like the masking and distancing and sanitation. What else can we do to get some information back to us that we have faith in what we're doing is the right thing to protect the staff, to protect everybody in the workplace, which then extends to their homes, you would hope. Right. So Dr. Bailey was very easy to get contact and came to us, literally. And I can let her, chime in as to how that went with testing our office staff this past Monday.
Yeah, so Dr. Bailey, if you'll tell us exactly what your company, who they are and what they do, and then just run through what you did for us.
So we are a local business trying to, our mission is to really meet our customers where they are. And if that's the on-the-go person or our fellow local business in need, our vision is to meet you where you are. For our businesses, keep you open, functioning, keeping people employed and providing a really good service. So that's our intent. With COVID, it's difficult to get test results in a reasonable amount of time. And so we have a partnership with a lab that, provides us with the capabilities to go on site, meet your wonderful staff, test them, and then get the results back quickly.
She made it sound easy, but here's what happened. Monday morning, before I was even dressed really well, and Michelle decided to put all that on social media, by the way. Thank you very much, Michelle. We get these probes stuck in our face by the good Dr. Bailey. And by Wednesday night, I guess it was Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, we had all the results back. And we had a positive COVID person on the staff that we had to isolate immediately. But fortunately, everybody else came back negative. And so what it allowed our business to do, thanks to Dr. Bailey and her company, we were able to isolate the person that was positive, who we otherwise all would have been around the entire week, okay, for sure. And we put that person at our house, or kept her at our house. She didn't come back into the office anymore. We were already masking and distancing, thankfully, and obviously that works because she was in the space. And so she's away now. And so all the rest of us came in after that, and we had a pretty much normal work week. What we're going to do is we've also have a plan for moving forward. by the way, the testing wasn't that bad. Dr. Bailey did a good job. It felt fine. It wasn't like all the way up in your brain kind of thing. It was just like, and she did one in the throat, I think, and then one in the nose.
Yes.
And
She made everybody very comfortable and
the
walked them
worst
right
part of
through
that was the fact that Michelle took a picture of me before I knew she was doing it, and then she put it up on social media before I knew she was doing that either. So anyway, long and short of that is, Dr. Bailey did perfect, and it was great, and it saved us from all being sick, because we would have had that person back in the office. She's asymptomatic today still. She never had a symptom. She didn't have a symptom that day. She was asymptomatic all week. She was asymptomatic today when I talked to her this afternoon. She still doesn't have a symptom, but she's a positive COVID person. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this in other videos, and Dr. Bailey and Dr. Malone can maybe shed some more on this, but there's a certain percentage of the population that are asymptomatic spreaders, I guess is what you call them, right?
Yes.
And I guess, and speaking with Dr. Bailey on Monday, I remember asking her just a couple of anecdotes, and she can tell you the length of time that some of these people stay positive or remain positive, some of the PCR testing, and it's not textbook, you know. It's like, didn't you say there was like a 35-day out there somewhere that you had been testing someone for that long and they're still positive?
Yeah.
They feel fine?
Yeah, they feel fine. And, you know, I think we're leaning back on businesses because, you know, the CDC is really giving us two methods, so the test retest or the time-based strategy. But that becomes difficult when you have these asymptomatic patients, because you can't really measure off when they became symptomatic and when they're safe to return to work. And so it complicates things.
Yeah, we're struggling with that whole come back to work thing because, you know, she's at home and she feels fine. She's working remotely, but it's not anywhere close to what you would do in the office. So she's like, you know, when can I come back in the office? And we're like, oh, we don't know. And so, well, certainly when you test negative to start with, and we don't know when that's going to be. So until that happens, I'm not sure we can say anything else to her. I certainly can't bring a positive COVID person knowingly into the office and say, oh, you're fine, just stay away from us. But anyway, Dr. Bailey, we appreciate that very much, and we look forward to continuing, because we're going to continue this work with you and your business, because we want to do this until we're in the clear as far as the vaccine or whatever. So the only way I think I can responsibly open my workspace to my employees, we're still not opening it to anybody else. We're doing Zoom, everything else, but is to have them rely on this test. And then on Sunday, we're going to ask the staff to answer a series of questions. And, you know, those questions could trigger us to get Dr. Bailey to do some spot checking with certain staff. And then I think every 2 weeks, we're going to have Dr. Bailey come in. I don't even know if she knows this yet. And we're going to have her do her full blown, everybody gets it, so that we're making sure that everybody's being honest and telling us that they haven't been around crowds and they haven't done this. You know what I mean?
Well, or if they are being honest, they may not even know.
That's right.
They could have picked it up doing the normal daily stuff. But I will say this, that, you know, if there's any frustration that people had about getting their test results through any other outlet, Dr. Bailey texted me at 4:00 in the morning with results for the entire office. And I, in short order, turned it around with Joe, and we had a discussion as to how to proceed that morning. And
is she a triathlete? Only triathletes get up that early.
Yeah, well, she's. I told her, I said, you won't wake me up. Send it to me, and so we were able to respond and take appropriate action that day. So I think that was helpful to us.
So Dr. Bailey doesn't know this, but I had several. As soon as Michelle put the grotesque picture of me getting the Q-tip up my nose, I had like 3 business owners text me on my cell phone, and they were like, so what's the skinny on this? How do we get in touch with her? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? Let me tell you when I find out when we get the results. And I know Dr. Bailey didn't know this because I didn't tell her this, but I was going to see whether it was going to take a long time or not. And because she had told me 24 to 36 hours, and it was right in the middle of that when she got back to us. So, which was perfect. So I did tell those people to reach out to you. I don't know if they did or not, but I did pass that on. Evan, did you have other topics that you wanted to cover before we sign off?
I did. Let me, I always kind of pulled this up. I don't know if I can share or not when we have 3
And
people
while you're
on
looking
here.
for that, Dr. Bailey, I had a question. How often do you
Let's
test
see
yourself?
here. What I,
Myself, so I tend to pull antibodies on myself about every 3 days or so,
Okay.
because my son is actually IgA deficient, so I'm
Okay.
super careful around him. But people have asked, are you worried about testing positive people? And I said, no, I'm more at risk in the grocery store than
Right.
careful.
Right.
So around others.
But you see, you're a nurse. You're and a doctor. You know how this stuff happens, right? There's science, right? You either going to get inside of you or it's not going to get inside of you. And when you're protected, it's likely not going to get inside of you.
Right. And it's pretty easy to protect yourself.
Right.
So the only thing I was just going to run through, Joe, is just let people know that the state of Florida continues to maintain record levels as far as deaths being reported per day. And I think that you and I jumped on about 2 weeks ago now, where we had made a 1-day leap of 10 deaths. And I guess I just want to report seemingly good news, meaning we haven't had to keep doing those same reports, at least in the county here.
Good.
But it's to the point, where that every day I'm seeing, 3 deaths, 2 deaths, 4 deaths, back and forth. So, it's the idea of having stable amount of deaths. Yes, I like that, but at 3 or 4 a day, we'd like to be, 1 or none. So we're not as scary as some of the other parts of the states that are accounting for the record amount of deaths per day. So, I'd like to think that locally some of the other measures are hopefully helping, a little bit at a time. And then lastly, I've been looking at the ventilators and all that per day, and the open ventilators and open ICU beds. Actually, I think we got up to double digits for open ICU beds today, up to 14.
Good.
Which I find that is another reassuring measure that a lot of people don't pay attention to. So I just wanted to share that. And I think today's focus is more about some of the testing and
Right.
getting into a normal rhythm while maintaining health. So.
Right. So, Dr. Bailey, we're going to put a link to your company underneath this video, so they can contact you directly, or the company directly, rather. And then we will be in touch about our office. And we appreciate all that you did for us this week, and you allowed us to have some form of normalcy this week. And I can't thank you enough for that. So, thank you again for that. We were also a lot more productive, I felt. We are still operating via Zoom, so if you need to find us, you can find us on the web at zarzaurlaw.com, or you can call us at 855-HIRE-JOE. Dr. Bailey and Dr. Malone, thank you all very much for joining us.
Anytime. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.